Good afternoon, everybody. Joined by some folks at our virtual Emergency Operations Center. We're going to give you an update on where we are with the snowstorm and what we're doing to address that. If you just give me 3 minutes to give you a brief COVID update. Sorry to be late. We just were meeting virtually with Vice President-elect Joe Biden and the governors. President-elect started with the old Reagan joke, 12 scariest words in the English language. I'm here from the federal government and here to help you. And those words maybe can be disturbing when things are going well, but in a crisis, people need the federal government. And that was the message I heard from governors on both sides of the aisle, especially now. And the federal government's done a good job in logistically in getting the vaccines out, getting them shipped on time, all the different contingencies there. We've already vaccinated 350 people. All the vaccines for this week have been delivered, so they won't be upset by the snowstorm happening. And we'll be one of the first to start vaccinating folks in nursing homes as early as Friday. I can tell you just briefly, the positivity rate ticked up again. It's 7.4%. It's a little more than the 7-day average. Hospitalizations down 15. So don't be a day trader, but you can sort of see a trend. Unfortunately, in the hospitalizations, it's not going up like a hockey stick. It's controlled for now. But 40 fatalities, that is going up. The other thing the president was talking about, and the governors are talking about, the need for fiscal support, in particular for small business, in particular for vaccinations and more testing as they're going on. The president-elect said it looks like the bill is not going to be coming out of Congress today, maybe as soon as tomorrow. It looks like they're going to make good progress on this, with the exception of state and local aid and the issues regarding liability. As I explained earlier, you know, the state's going to do what we can to help our small business and municipalities. We're releasing the final $45 million to our municipalities. We're sending out $5,000 checks to 10,000 of the smallest businesses, those that probably did not get in line for the PPP program. And we've recently announced another $25 million for larger businesses, hopefully a bridge to the federal program, which we'd like to see set up by early next year. I could sense some urgency in the voices of many of the governors. That said, let me just talk briefly about the snowstorm. Weather Channel and ski resorts sometimes overhype snowstorms. I think this is a real one. You'll hear from James Ravella and Bill Hackett, who are manning our Emergency Operations Center, Joe Giletti, our great Commissioner of Transportation, the 600 snowplows that are on the ground, working with contractors, because 100 of our folks at DOT are down with COVID, so we have to work around there. Working very closely with Eversource and Avangrid. We've got Craig Hallstrom and Frank Reynolds here from Eversource and Avangrid to answer any questions you may have. The main update I can give you is our state offices will be closed tomorrow. And that means that telecommute, if you can telecommute, if you have that option, do so. The offices are closed. As you know, though, we have an awful lot of essential workers in state government. And they are police and they're fire. In addition, as you know, doctors and nurses, a lot of people who have to be on the ground, Department of Corrections, corrections officers, people taking care of folks with disabilities. Some of these things can't be done remotely. That's reason number 5, that you've got to make sure if you don't have to be on the road, do not be on the road. The snow is going to start dropping heavily later this evening, and we want you safe at home well before then, and call in to any seniors or folks alone and make sure they're okay. Let me leave it at that, and maybe Joe, if you want to give just 3 minutes on where we are in terms of getting the snow plows out, and James, you can just tell a bit about what we got at the Emergency Operations Center, then we're here to answer your questions.
Yes, Governor, glad to. First off, all of our trucks are out. They've been out through the day today. They've been pre-treating the roads. The snow has already started on the western portion of the state. We are anticipating a tremendous heavily drops of snow between 1.5 inches and 3 inches an hour beginning after 8 o'clock. The governor and I have discussed, the governor is going to put out a tractor trailer ban between 9 o'clock tonight and 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. We also will have a travel advisory out for all other vehicles. Our crews are out there. The governor mentioned the issues with COVID. With the exception of 37, we have those crews back. We have contractors that are working with us. We have up to 200 contractors that are available to go and assist as we're going down the roads. It's going to be a long process through the night. Our construction projects and equipment have been secured for high winds and significant snowfall. All districts of bus services across the state will complete their regular runs tonight and will not start up again until afternoon tomorrow. Pay attention to Metro North as well, because they're looking to cancel their late night trains, anything around 11 o'clock. So please monitor what's going on at Metro North and pay attention to cttravelsmart.org, where we'll keep everything posted on how we're doing. Thank you, Governor.
Hey, thank you, Joe. The tractor trailers, they're banned. We've done that in coordination with New York, perhaps some of our other neighboring states. Very important, as you can imagine, if a tractor trailer goes off the road, that can slow up snow plowing, that can slow up emergency vehicles, and they can take a lot of manpower from other pursuits having to deal with that issue. With that, Commissioner Ravella, are we ready?
Yes, we are, Governor. Good afternoon, everyone, and to everybody on the call, good afternoon. I've brought some folks from emergency management side with me today, Principal Attorney Brenda Bergeron, Deputy Commissioner Rush Kittle, and Director William Hackett. So folks, pre-COVID, we used to have 30 to 40 individuals from all the various state agencies and our utilities inside the EOC. And, we've been talking about how do we get more technologically advanced and move into the age. So we didn't go easy. We were kicking and screaming as we went into the virtual age, but COVID really forced us there, right, folks? So what you're going to see is we practice this event, and if you recall, the wind and rainstorm that passed through New Haven, Guilford, Brantford area and caused a lot of damage. We were totally virtual as an EOC that day. Now, our EOC has been open since March because of COVID, but we operated a weather event totally virtually, right? And we dispatched urban search and rescue units. State police did escorts. The National Guard came out for us that day, and we supported communities with communication trucks and portable radios, and it all went smoothly. So moving down the chain a little bit, in November, we had all the state agencies that usually report to the EOC along with our utility partners practice this, and Deputy Commissioner Rush Kittle conducted that exercise, and we feel we're very ready. We operate off a Teams platform. We have redundancy built into communications in different areas. So we open our event today at 8 p.m. It'll be on our web EOC platform also, and that's our communication for the municipalities to make requests for emergency services or materials or equipment as needed. So we feel we're ready for this. We also, I'll reiterate what the governor said. Hey, listen, stay home. Because if you get into a crash out there and something happens out there, I have to dispatch emergency folks to get there, and we endanger those folks. And just on a more personal note, please knock on the doors of your neighbors today and make sure they're going to be okay and they're shoveling, and if they're going to be prepared also. So with that, Governor, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, the commissioners are here to answer questions, as is folks in our virtual EOC. That's Director Hackett and Craig over at Eversource and Frank at Avangrid. Happy to take your questions.
Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Yeah, just a question for our friends over at the DOT. With 100 people out sick, the state hired around 200 more private contractors. How available were they? Was it easy to get them? And do you foresee this being an issue all winter long?
again, to clarify, out of the 100 that were COVID positive, only 36 remain out right now. So we're okay on our workforce. Our people come in, the men and women of the DOT work hard. They're in the trucks. We keep those trucks running all the way through the storm, and they won't stop until Friday. In terms of the outside contractors, we've always maintained a list of outside contractors to go and assist depending on how the storm is. This one, we starting right off the bat with at least 20 of those outside contractors because of the way that this storm is hitting and how severe it's going to be. So it's not anything that's extraordinary. This is actually something that's been in place. It's ready to go, and we're working it right now.
And a question for the governor. I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on some of the districts using snow days when the remote possibility is still out there. Because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, this will extend the school year for some of these districts, correct?
I find the idea of a snow day a little antiquated in this day and age. We have virtual learning. Over half of our kids have been doing virtual learning on sunny days over the last several months. And we've made a big effort to bridge that digital divide. So I would like to think that our kids will continue learning tomorrow. It'll be virtual learning for another couple of days, or perhaps right through the vacation now.
News 8. News 8. NBC Connecticut.
Good evening. Can you talk a little bit more about the impact the pandemic is having on your response to the storm, especially your cold weather protocol? How are you ensuring these warming shelters don't become hotbeds for spreading the coronavirus?
Bill or James, do you want to take that?
Bill, you want to jump on that one?
Sure, I'll take it. Good evening, everyone. Bill Hackett, State Emergency Management Director. Today, Governor Lamont activated the cold weather protocol. This is a multi-state agency collaboration with partners, including 211, the Coalition to End Homelessness, among others. The protocol is activated as a result of forecasted blizzard-like conditions, and the protocol is going to be in effect from 3 p.m. on Wednesday, December 16th, until noon on Friday. 211 is going to act as a clearinghouse to ensure that shelter space is available, and all of the shelters and all of our municipalities have received instructions from the American Red Cross and our agency on how to conduct sheltering safely with social distancing during this COVID operation. So there may be some shelters that aren't open because of the storm. Some COVID shelters aren't open. So we're recommending the public call 211 and they'll find you a shelter.
So will they be mandating masks, taking temperatures before people walk in the building?
Yes, they will. That's part of the protocol.
Okay, and Governor, you mentioned the stimulus package under discussion right now in Congress is expected to exclude funding for state and local governments. So I'm wondering how that impacts Connecticut as we go forward and continue to fight this pandemic.
Well, as you know, all the CARES Act money runs out on December 31st. What is that, in 12 days or something? We'd like to think there's going to be another supplemental passed in the next few days. We've been thinking that before. Look, we're in pretty good shape. Not only do we have a rainy day fund, we've allocated some resources, so we're going to be able to keep going. I could tell you, just hearing from other governors, some are out there borrowing in the short-term market right now. As you know, a number of our states are doing a real layoffs. The idea of laying off people in the middle of a pandemic, not to mention a snowstorm, is, let's say, very complicated. Connecticut's not there. I think we're in pretty good shape, through this, certainly through this calendar year, I think through this fiscal year. And I'm pretty sure the federal government's going to step up. Really important that they step up and help the small business. That small business is just struggling right now. We don't have to close things down. I'm afraid snowstorms and post-Christmas, a lot of things are going to slow up. And that's why we're doing what we can in terms of relief funding for restaurants and other small business, but I hope it's a bridge to what the federal government's going to do.
And speaking of relief for restaurants, what is your reaction to the State House Republicans' efforts to provide their own pandemic package and the plan they unveiled today?
Well, look, I think we're all on the same path, to tell you the truth. I'm the guy that has to allocate the CARES Act money. I just can't make up numbers. But what we've done for the very smallest businesses, which we announced, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago, that money is coming out now to 10,000 small businesses. And then another $25 million for businesses, say 10 to 100 people, including a lot of restaurants and bars that have been without for a while. That's a bridge. Is it enough for everybody? No, but I hope it's a bridge to what the feds are going to do.
Thanks, Governor.
Fox 61.
Hi, Governor. Could you talk about if at any point could or would the storm warrant a state of emergency here in Connecticut?
Yeah, Bill, should I follow your lead on that?
Sure, Governor. The governor can declare a state of emergency depending upon the conditions in the state. That will give him enormous powers to handle the emergency, and we are prepared for that. Everything is actually drawn up in case we have to use that.
And at what point would there be a switch over to a state of emergency, possibly?
As soon as our resources are taxed, we have a lot of incidents. We're monitoring through our virtual interface. Our interface from the State Emergency Operations Center virtually is through our municipalities and tribal nations emergency management directors. So we rely on situational awareness. We'll be getting reports throughout the virtual EOC, and we're tied in with state agencies, including the military, non-governmental organizations, and the private sector, including our utilities. FEMA is embedded with us, and we'll be watching this entire storm very closely.
WTIC 1080 News. WTIC 1080 News. The Associated Press.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Governor, are you able to say which 5 nursing homes will be able to begin early vaccinations, possibly as early as Friday, under this program with HHS?
I can't tell you that, Sue. I can tell you, though, that the vaccines have arrived, so we're not going to be slowed up by the snowstorm, but I can't tell you exactly which ones they are. Sorry.
And also, are you able to talk about the plans to reopen the Connecticut Convention Center as a field hospital? And will similar facilities that we had before as field hospitals, would they be reopened in other parts of the state?
Yeah, certainly at the convention center. I think we're going to start rolling that out over the next 48 hours. That could be 600 beds. That's purely precautionary. As I said before, right now we still have pretty good capacity. But let's be prepared. So we'll have that up and operating, I think, within a few days.
And how about the other places? I know we had some in other parts of the state before.
We're certainly ready to go there. There's no need at this point, so the convention center is our first priority.
Okay, thank you very much.
News 12 Connecticut.
Everybody, Commissioner Ravella, can you tell us how many additional state troopers are going to be out? I apologize if you already addressed that earlier.
I hadn't, but the troops will be fully staffed. The colonel has assured me that they'll have adequate manpower to address any emergency situations, and along with the special teams, they'll also be available.
So are you having people work extra shifts, come in on their time off?
I actually leave that to the discretion of the colonel. Some of the processes he may use is holdover shifts or call shifts in early. That's certainly at his discretion, pending the need.
And Craig, can you just sort of address what Eversource is doing to prepare for power outages?
Yeah, sure. Good afternoon. So we've been monitoring the weather for the last, several days. We made commitments to resources yesterday, so we would have boots on the ground when the storm hit. Although the forecast is for significant snow, the good news from utilities perspective is that it is a drier snow. But nevertheless, we are watching the forecast, especially in the areas along the coast where the winds will be a bit higher. but we have approximately 475 or so line workers, restoration crews ready to go, another 250 or so tree crews, and then about 120, 130 damage assessors. So we're very well positioned. We've opened up our incident management command center, and we have decentralized into our smaller regional work centers, all with the idea of staying off the road, getting in place for when and if the restoration needs to start.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Frank, is the answer similar for UI?
Yes, Governor, the answer is absolutely similar. We are definitely prepared down at UI to handle the storm and respond quickly and safely as our customers expect of us. We've been monitoring the weather for the past several days to make sure that we're prepared appropriately. We have the resources secured for this event in terms of equipment, personnel, as well as material resources. And we've opened our call center. We've mobilized our emergency management team. And of course, we're working alongside the state as well as other municipalities that we serve to make sure we understand what needs are there. So we're ready, we're prepared and ready to respond to this, Governor.
Thank you.
The Connecticut Mirror.
Regarding the convention center, was there any particular metric that caused Hartford Healthcare to request the opening of the convention center? You know, I'm talking about overall capacity, particularly ICUs.
I think it certainly was within Hartford Healthcare's domain. That was an imperative for them. Obviously, get some scale. We've done it before, so I think it was mainly precautionary, Paz.
All right, and did the president-elect give you any comments or any advice about the part that's not in the package that's being announced or being negotiated, and that is the direct aid to municipalities and states? What's his assessment of what you can or cannot expect come first of the year?
What he did say is pass what you can get past now, given the urgency. That's not going to include the liability protection. That's not going to include a state and local aid. But he said that will be a priority for me as soon as I'm president.
How long did this meeting take, sir?
It got going a little late, which is why I was a little late, and I left a little early. But I was there for 45 minutes.
And this is a video meeting?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Hearst, Connecticut Media.
Thanks, Max. Governor, I think you mentioned this before, but I just wanted to confirm all the vaccine doses from Pfizer that the state expects to get today, have those all been delivered at this point so the storm won't impact those?
Yeah, Peter, that's my understanding.
Thank you. And then do you have any notion of why those nursing homes have been scheduled for Friday as opposed to Monday, as you've previously reported?
Yeah, I'm told that the feds found 4 states that they want to prioritize. Thankfully for us, Connecticut was one of those 4 states, so we did get the vaccine shipment a little earlier, and we got Walgreens and CVS ready to go.
Thank you. And then one other question. What considerations have been given for mandatory vaccines for children attending school, or what about teachers? And would that be left up to local municipalities as reopenings have been?
I think that's very premature. I mean, frankly, right now, none of the testing has even included kids under 16, so the FDA approvals is for 16 and over. So let's let this sort out. I think, for the next 3 or 4 months, we're going to find that demand certainly outstrips supply. And I'd like to think, and I heard this from the governors on the phone, that while there's an awful lot of trepidation about the vaccine theoretically 3 weeks ago, a week ago, now a lot of TV, a lot of nurses lining up to get the vaccine, a lot of doctors, they think that some of that anxiety is maybe going to dissipate.
Thank you, Governor.
The Hartford Current.
Hi, Governor. I know you said that the convention center site is just precautionary, but given the pattern recently in hospitalizations, I'm just wondering, is this some kind of signal that you or that Hartford Healthcare thinks that hospitalizations are going to continue to increase in the coming weeks or months?
Alex, to be blunt, we don't know. I mean, we do know that infections went up due to a lot of testing and due to Thanksgiving and universities and the such. We look at the Christmas holiday season. We see the potential for social gatherings, so we want to be ready.
Got it. And another thing, the governor of Illinois, I guess, said that their vaccine shipments were reduced by the federal government pretty significantly, and I'm just wondering if you know anything about that, or if anything like that has affected Connecticut.
Our numbers were on time and the correct numbers, so we're in good shape there.
Got it. Thank you.
The Waterbury Republican American.
Thanks, Max. Governor, could you please clarify, are you contemplating using any of the remaining CARES Act funding or any state funding to provide direct aid to the restaurant and bar industry in the state? Because I'm not sure, you indicated last week that you were, and I don't know from your answer today if that's still a possibility.
Yeah, first of all, we sent out $5,000 checks to 10,000 small companies, the smallest companies, to be blunt. And this next tranche of $25 million, that's for bigger 10 to 100 person companies. That will be, a lot of those will be bars, restaurants, and those other small businesses that have been particularly hard hit. A lot of it is based upon what we can track by a loss of revenue, so we can do what we can to make up for that and hopefully give them enough firepower to then get through to the federal relief or get our economy going again thanks to the vaccine.
But nothing specifically for the restaurants? There's not going to be a $5,000 grant program for restaurants that can, or bars that can demonstrate X, Y, and Z?
No, but this is a grant that will go to those small businesses most in need. I think you're going to find a lot of them tend to be bars and restaurants because they've been particularly hard hit.
Okay. In terms of the nursing home vaccines, that's going to be Pfizer vaccine that's going out to those nursing homes on Friday, correct? It's not the Moderna. Well, it can't be the Moderna.
I believe that's right.
Okay. Okay. All right. Earlier today, Matt Ritter, the incoming House Speaker, indicated that he'd be willing to take a look at your powers under the Civil Preparedness Emergency Act to sort of to sort of reduce, perhaps look at reducing the duration of these from 6 months to maybe 60 days, 90 days. Is that something that you'd be open to discussing with the legislature?
Yeah, no, I would be open to discussing that. Hopefully we're going to get back to a normal course of business, but let's see if COVID behaves. We've got till February 9th. Obviously, the shorter the duration, the less long-term certainty I can give to small businesses and other things based upon the executive orders. But frankly, it makes a certain amount of sense to me.
Okay, thank you very much.
CT News Junkie.
Yeah, thanks. Governor, yesterday a group of mental health providers, they sent you a letter asking for a number of things, including clarification on where they stand in line to get the vaccine. I was wondering if you had any response to that letter, if you'd seen it, and what you make of what they're asking for.
Yes, I think they're in the certainly in the 1B group. They did make reference to some of the regulatory hurdles that could slow things up, especially during a pandemic like this. So we've asked our legal team to take a look at what we can do to facilitate there. So we did pay attention to that and appreciate what they're doing. The mental stress that people are going through right now, including the mental health workers, is tangible.
Okay, thanks. I was also hoping to get a clarification from the the transportation commissioner. He had said that 100 DOT employees had COVID. I was wondering, do they have COVID now, or is that the total number of employees of DOT who have had it over the course of the whole thing?
For clarification, we had well over 100 and another 100 that were awaiting tests. Where we're at right now is 37 that are currently positive. Of that 37, 24 are in highway operations. So we are looking good. Every day changes. For the time being, I'm making it clear that, yes, we have issues there, but we're very, very grateful to the men and women of the department because they return as soon as they can, and we are going to keeping these plows going 24 hours.
Thanks. And how many contractors are out there now, and how does that compare as to like a non-COVID snowstorm?
I would turn and say there's 20 out there right now, and that compares to a normal heavy snowstorm. So I would not call it that it's a COVID snowstorm that's causing this. It's a heavy snowstorm that's causing it. We can go up to 200 contractors. So I think the best way to go and say this is that we're prepared, and if we need it, we have plenty of resources to call in on this. So we're hoping we can stay ahead of this storm, but it is a major storm we're looking at.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Well, look, my thanks to the commissioners and the folks from Eversource and Avangrid. I don't want to downplay what's going to be a heavy snowstorm, but after having an emergency for the last 9 months where we had to learn along the way every day, this is an old-fashioned emergency, a type of snowstorm we were used to here in New England. It's a big snowstorm, but I think you have a sense that this is a group that has been here before, knows what to do, and give you a little bit of confidence that if you stay safe, stay home a little bit longer, 24 hours, I think we're going to be okay. Thank you, everybody.